Hello everybody and welcome back to the Fortress of Solitude. Today we're going to be talking about DCKO Superman vs. Captain Atom issue 1 by Joshua Williamson, Sean Isaacs, Trish Mulvihill, and Hi-Fi. The first round of DCKO's one-on-one fights is here, and it's a pretty big main event. It's Superman vs. Captain Atom, which opens with a quick rundown of Captain Atom's origins and how Nathaniel Atom, pilot, served his country any way he could, which included getting amazing powers that turned him into Captain Atom, a hero and agent for good. Nathaniel knows that while he has always embraced these roles, there's one he hasn't, and that is being a god. He knows the atoms are often seen as explosive and a thing of destruction, but he knows that they are also the stuff that literally everything is made out of, and the immense power inside of him is something that he's going to need to embrace if he is to win. So I didn't doubt Williamson wouldn't have given us a decent setup to this fight. I knew he would, and I really like how Captain Atom is actually getting some proper page time as a character, not as a plot device, since usually the hero is used as such, be it as an obstacle another hero has to overcome, or as literally a MacGuffin, as he usually, has his quantum armor tear and he ends up exploding, causing immense damage. He's something that usually is a linchpin that kicks off a larger event or a larger storyline. He's never really a character in the storyline, so I really like that they're actually doing this. It's a nice change of pace for him to actually go through his own head on why he needs to win this, and it's not just being reduced to he stands in Superman's way for drama. After the events of DCKO issue 2, Superman chews Captain Atom out for having taken Supergirl out of the contest, taking the Psycho Pirate mask from her during their scavenger hunt. Nathaniel finds himself a little scared since Superman is more angry than he's ever been and ever seen him, but he doesn't think the hero gets that he took Kara out, since Clark doesn't understand that they are at war, and in war, there are sacrifices. Atom demands that he be allowed to speak, telling Superman that the hero was down for the count, and Joker, Lex, and the other villains were too busy with everyone else to do what needed to be done. I like that Atom even reminds Superman of what Batman was constantly telling Clark at the start of this event, and that he needs to get his head in the game, which is also a big through line of issue 2, with Lex seemingly pushing Clark towards doing what he needs to do to survive and trying to get his head in the game. Atom believes that things will get harder from here on out, and Superman needs to be ready. As the heroes teleport away, Superman assures Nathaniel that they're going to have a long talk after all of this is over, something Atom welcomes as he salutes Superman and the survivors are all teleported away. Captain Atom is teleported into a void, where he remembers Trapper's words about showing no mercy to become King Omega, and it's something that he plans on doing since he has the power and the experience to do all of this and see it through. Heading through a portal nearby, Atom is spat out into Metropolis, where he finds Superman waiting for him. The Heart of Apocalypse says that to advance to the next round of the tournament, they both must fight each other, and the hero who wins the most rounds out of 3 rounds will win. So this isn't just a standard one-on-one fight, as there's a very cool feature to these fights, which is explained here, which is when one hero is defeated, the next round begins, and just before that, both heroes get to respawn in a different form of theirs from throughout their history. So Superman can become, the Kingdom Come Superman, or Superman Blue, or any form he or Captain Atom have had over their storied histories they can become in order to help in their fights. And I think that's a really damn cool idea. It's a very video gamey, very, like Street fighter game concept, because it's like, they're changing the skins. They're changing their look of the character in the skin menu sort of thing. And I quite like that that's a thing built into this event. I also like it just on like a visual standpoint, so the artists aren't just constantly drawing Captain Atom and Superman in their base forms. They get to have a bit of variety, and I can imagine it can be pretty daunting and pretty exhausting drawing the same heroes and villains over and over and over again in the same costume. So we get that bit of variety, as well as just the powers over the years these characters have had in their different forms. There's a bit more variety in just how the visuals will also be as well. Atom notices that this seems to be the real metropolis they are in, and Superman confirms it, hearing the people are in the streets, but he finds that something is missing. Atom believes that the Heart is messing with them, trying to throw them off by having them fight in a city full of innocents. Superman tries to tell Nathaniel that they have to be careful since the Heart chose them for a reason, but Captain Atom doesn't think that Superman is getting it since he's playing to win. He smashes Superman right through the city, destroying several buildings in the process. So this is more the Captain Atom role that he's been used in the last few years, the big heavy that comes in, and he actually usually fights Superman or some other superpowered being in a fight like this, where they can kind of just knock each other about a bit. But I like that Williamson has set the book up to give us more of Atom than we usually get. Like how even the book is completely from his POV. You know, we get to see him thinking about how he needs to do this because he thinks he's kind of made for this as like a being who's like near a god level in power and in experience. So he feels like he's deserving of this. And of course, the heart is influencing all of these characters as well by showing them very briefly what the world would be like if they won. So they've got kind of like this already preordained notion of what the Earth might be if they win, and that kind of like fuels a lot of these heroes, like we're seeing with Captain Atom here, that he needs to win in order to help save the world, but really he's just going to end up ruling the world. There's also that really neat parallel between Captain Atom and Superman. They're very similar people, you know, they are both heroes who try to do their best, and with Captain Atom it's often hampered by the fact that I believe he has like a bipolar disorder or some type of mental illness that often gets the better of him and makes him go erratic at times, and you know, he's very much like a bootlicker in that he works for the government often and is sent out via the government to deal with people like Superman. Like there's that famous Batman Superman Public Enemy storyline where he is like the leader of this little group that is sent after Batman and Superman by Lex Luthor. And you mix that in with Superman, who is someone who just wants to do the good thing and wants to actually just help people and use his powers to help people, and it's often seen as sort of an antiquated thing that he doesn't want to turn to violence. He doesn't want to immediately attack someone. He wants to try and talk things out. Everything that is the opposite of what Captain Atom would do. So it's a very good pairing in that regard. Superman recovers from the assault, telling Atom that the buildings could be filled with people, but Atom doesn't believe so, returning to attack again. Superman is ready this time, catching his arm and tossing Captain Atom hard into the ground. Atom is glad that he did that, since Superman seems to be getting what he has to do in this fight, telling Clark he needs to really go for it and show no mercy, just like what Time Trapper said. Atom blasts Superman with his energy powers, going blow for blow with the Man of Steel, but Superman refuses to go all out, wanting to find another way to win this. Captain Atom readies for another bout, reminding Superman that the winner of this gets Darkseid's power, knowing that Superman has had run-ins with Kryptonite thanks to Lex recently, but he wonders if he can take a 1-2 punch from Kryptonite and the Red Sun radiation. Atom uses his powers to generate Kryptonite and Red Sun energy in his hands, smashing Superman again and again with the deadly energies. This is a great use of Captain Atom's powers that I feel we seldom see, that he can manipulate and change the type of radiation and energy his body radiates. It's also kind of a bitch move to use both Kryptonite and Red Sun, especially when, you know, just using his base powers often gives Superman a run for his money. So this is just kind of like sticking that knife in and kind of twisting it a little bit. You know, he's doing whatever he can to win the fight, even if it's kind of a low blow. Superman takes the hits quite well, knowing that while he probably can't be ruthless, he knows that Atom would never kill someone in cold blood. Grabbing Superman, Nathaniel says that the hero doesn't know what he has been through, and he wants Superman to think about the amount of times his suit has been breached and he's exploded, or the times he was launched across time and space, and every single time, Superman or any other hero has never bothered to look for him. I like that Williamson is working in the Atom always explodes trope into the actual story and using it in a way for Nathaniel to justify his anger towards not just Superman but all the other heroes as well, and why he's doing what he is doing. He's sick of always being the linchpin in like an event, or like a MacGuffin, or as I said, like a roadblock, and he wants to actually take control of his life for once, and he sees winning the King Omega title as him actually taking control of his life for once. So I like there's a good reason for him to actually wanting to be fighting Superman beyond, oh, they need to because that's the story of the event. Superman's life is slowly drained by the Kryptonite and Red Sun combo, and Captain Atom thinks that he's helping the hero, since Superman didn't want to be part of this tournament in the first place, so he's just helping him leave for good. Captain Atom blasts Superman to pieces, winning the first of the 3 rounds. The heart of Apocalypse burns hotter, and Atom feels the Omega energy, knowing that they are getting closer to the center and to Darkseid's power. As round 1 ends, Superman respawns, thinking after what Atom did to Supergirl, if the power is talking for Atom or if he really is out for himself. Captain Atom isn't sorry for taking out Kara and Clark since they are at war, and he's just doing what Superman seems to not want to do. Round 2 of the event begins and the heroes are allowed to choose their new forms, and Atom knows exactly which form he'll choose, wanting to bring out his biggest weapon. Clark meanwhile knows that all his forms can be drained by Captain Atom, but he knows one form that cannot. The heroes choose and are teleported to another arena, where it's revealed that Captain Atom took his Monarch form, while Superman becomes Superman Prime from the 853rd century. This is such a great use of the alternate skins in a video game trope, and I love how it's not just choosing the big hitters, the big popular hitters. Like, Superman isn't just becoming, Kingdom Come Superman because people know what that is and it's popular. Williamson is using the concept in a very smart way for Superman to combat Atom's powers that drain him, so he chooses the form where he's lived in the sun for millions of years and has become supercharged and might be a little bit harder to drain right away. The fighters learn the new arena is Nathaniel's family farm, something Atom doesn't really care for, only reinforcing the idea of what he is fighting for. Clark tells him that they want the same thing, to save the people they love and the world they love, but Monarch wants to just fight. Superman speeds off into space. Monarch catches up with him, but Superman reveals that he's not running from the fight as he speeds towards the sun. Monarch thinks that the hero is going to try and absorb the solar radiation and strengthen his body, but he can just drain it all off of him like he did before. But Superman is actually doing a trick that Flash told him about. He just needs his prime form to gather enough strength for it. Clark inhales deeply before blasting out a huge freezing wind, instantly freezing not just the sun, but the space around the sun as well. Both Monarch and Superman Prime are left unable to move as Superman tells him that he used every bit of his power he had to freeze the atoms and the quantum fields around them, slowing the atoms and the quantum fields down, but also it slowed the heroes down as well. Luckily, Superman has enough power left in him thanks to his prime form that he was able to outlast Monarch, who dies in the frozen space, meaning Superman wins round 2. This is such a Silver Age comic solution to a problem. Literally freeze all of space and slow everyone down until they can't move and just die. It's also just like a kind of interesting way to deal with a problem, like, I'm just going to be stronger than you and just kind of brute force this problem a little bit. It's a very smart problem, but it's also, on Superman's part, a little bit brute force, because it's like, I'm just a little bit stronger than you and my health will go down slower than yours will and I'll be able to outlast you. It's just such a cool idea. Again, there's a great use for these forms that are being used in a smart way and not just to stoke member berries or jingle keys in front of the audience. As Captain Atom respawns, Superman apologizes for what is about to happen, but Atom figures that he knows what he did wrong in that last battle and knows how to rectify the problem. Superman warns him that they need to be themselves and they cannot lose what they are in the game. He reveals that he felt the Omega power that Atom also felt when he won, finding it intoxicating, but the more they get closer to the heart, the more it manipulates them. Atom doesn't seem to care, only really caring about what he needs to be to win, so he decides instead of choosing one form next, he's going to choose them all. Captain Atom transforms into a giant silver-armored version of all the forms he has ever taken over his history, taking on all of their power, while Superman chooses to simply be himself, refusing to lose himself in the game. The writers of this event really have thought of everything when it comes to these fights, even working in things like cheats and how cheaters might work in the game, since that's exactly what Captain Atom is doing here. He's cheating, he's using all of the power, and I love that it also kind of taps into sort of like power scalar games, where one person says, well, my character can do this, and this, and is going to do this, and this, and be so much more powerful than your character, but then when they start to lose, they start adding modifiers or changing the environment to ensure that their guy wins, which is what Captain Atom is doing here. He's just constantly adding things and he's like, well, I now control all of reality and time, so I have to win by default because your character can't do that. It's so fucking cool. I just love the idea that we also have these writers that are into like fighting video games or like know like the concepts and mechanics of fighting video games, that we can have stuff like this in the comic. Atom knows that now he controls all of time, space, and reality, since with all his forms combined, he's the Heart's equal and he can take back control of it. Superman warns him that the Heart will see this as a cheat, but Atom doesn't believe so. He's just taking the fight directly to the Game Master. Captain Atom uses his powers to try and grab the Heart, but it fights fights back, throwing Superman and Captain Atom back through Nathaniel's own history, which we saw in the first opening pages, using his own powers against him. Superman battles Atom as well, trying to stop him from continuing his insane plan of taking over the Heart of Apokolips. Atom knows that he will win no matter what, blasting Superman into his shattered history. Captain Atom tells Superman of the vision the Heart showed him when they first begun the match, a world where a soldier like him isn't needed, but beyond that, it was a world where he was finally freed to have control over his own future. Atom thinks that Superman saw the world exactly as it was, and he would put everything back the way it was, because that's the way he liked it. And this is a really interesting thing, because this is literally exactly what Lex was saying to Superman in DCKO issue 2, and it's been mentioned twice now, maybe even 3 times at the beginning of issue 1, but I'm beginning to feel like there's going to be a bit of a through line there with that, where like maybe we'll actually get to see what Superman saw in the Heart, what the Heart showed him. Maybe it's something that not everyone assumes. Maybe it's, you know, something simple as like a world without Superman, a world where Superman isn't needed and Clark doesn't exist because the world does not need him. It could be something like that. I feel like that might be a bit too obvious. So I'm intrigued to see if there's going to be a big reveal in the coming issues of DCKO, whether we'll actually get to see what Superman actually saw, because it feels like they're building that up a little bit. Like, what did he see and why was he so troubled by it, and why were the other heroes also so troubled by what they saw? So I'm intrigued to see if that is actually anything, because you don't just do things like twice, you don't just keep referencing them without, you know, building towards something. Superman says that it showed him that he's no better than Nathaniel, and it's not right to tell anyone what the world should be like, and he's there because he trusts in his friends and that they will succeed in their plan and help save the world. I've been loving how just so steadfast the writers are writing Superman. He's been getting tastes of what he needs to be in this game. You know, he got the Mega Sanction in issue 2 of DCKO, and he's been slowly accepting what he might have to do, but it just kind of girds him in his belief that he needs to find a better way, and he isn't going to bow to the wishes of Lex, Darkseid, or of the Heart. He's going to rely on his friends and himself to win the day. It's as pure as Superman gets. Superman goes to attack Atom, but the hero begins using his own history as a weapon, using the shards of his timeline to block Superman before throwing others at him. Atom says that the history means nothing to him and he's willing to sacrifice it all in order to save everyone. Superman believes that that's just the Heart talking, as Atom whips the memory of the origin bomb going off in front of him at Superman. The memory explodes over Superman, seemingly killing the hero as Atom's history begins shattering further, reduced down to nothing but dust. The hero proclaims that he has finally won, and not only does he have control of his own future for once, the world will be his. Suddenly, Superman, now covered in Captain Atom's own quantum armor, reappears, telling Nathaniel that he is too corrupted by the Heart. As Superman smashes into Atom, he reveals that thanks to him being exposed to Atom's history with the origin bomb, it somehow combined with his powers, giving Clark his new silver form. Superman wastes no time grabbing Atom and using the new power to drain his energy, stopping Atom when he tries to rewind time again to regain his abilities. Captain Atom tries to reason with Superman, telling him that if he explodes, he will teleport out of the competition, and they have no idea where he could go, and he won't be in control. But Superman knows, apologizing as he rips Captain Atom's containment suit apart, causing him to explode, which in turn allows Superman to win the match. The composite Atom-Superman character is such a neat idea, and I like how Williamson went in bringing it into the book. It's just a great idea of Superman just being hit with the literal memory of Captain Atom's origin, and because of how time and reality works in this place, it actually gives Superman the powers. It's just pure schlocky comic book stuff. Superman, still in his Atom form, survives the explosion, feeling the Heart of Apokolips churning hotter and hotter. He knows Captain Atom was right, and he can feel the power from the Heart. Clark wonders if the power could corrupt Captain Atom, someone as strong as him. What else could it possibly do? Before he can finish his thought though, the Heart teleports him away to get ready for his next round. Outside the tournament in the Watchtower, the Quantum Quorum find that time is beginning to speed up again. Trapper Mimo is attacked by Booster Gold, who is possessed by Darkseid. Booster says that the charade has gone on for far too long, and the pits on Earth are beginning to burn with Omega energy that belongs to him. Trapper doesn't understand how they missed this, but Booster knows that he was blind to his true reality as he tosses Trapper out of a window and into deep space, telling the being who was once Doomsday that he always hated him, and it bothered him so much much that anyone thought a monster like him could ever begin to challenge a god like Darkseid. Booster believes that the League should have listened to Trapper and prepared themselves for the order he is going to bring, since they cannot fight Darkseid. So I didn't expect to get more of the Watchtower storyline in this issue. I thought that was just going to be a main event book plot just so everyone knows what's happening in that story, because maybe not everyone will pick up these issues. Don't know why you wouldn't pick up these issues, because these are basically the main thrust of the DC KO event. But I like that it is included here. I like that we get a little bit of an extra connector to the larger event, and it keeps Trapper's story moving on. We don't have to keep waiting month to month to see it. I still don't know how Darkseid plans on getting into the tournament. I assume he's going to try and possess someone else, you know, transfer his consciousness from Booster to, I don't know, let's just say Joker, or maybe even Superman. I'm intrigued to see what Scott Snyder, Joshua Williamson, and all the other writers have in store for Darkseid, because it's so interesting that he is part of this event. He's technically dead. He's also technically the god over in the Absolute Universe at the moment, and it's just really interesting what they are doing with Darkseid. It's just completely unlike what we usually get of the character. DC KO Superman vs. Captain Atom issue 1 was a really fun opening salvo to what is being called Fight Month, offering up a thrilling first fight between Superman and Captain Atom, who surprisingly got a lot more character work than what I assumed he would be getting, seeing as he is most famously used as a MacGuffin most of the time. The parallels between Nathaniel, a hero corrupted by his powers and position of authority, and Superman, a hero fighting against those temptations to try and make a better world, was a great way to approach these two characters and pit them against each other beyond just they have to fight because the event says so. Tie that in with some really cool, very video gamey rules to the fights, including respawns and alternate skins. I think this was a really fun first bout in the Fight Month. I'm going to give this issue a 9 out of 10.